speed spoons. Troll them, cast them, or jig them. If you want to get aggressive with trout, get a set of Kellogg speed spoons and get your fish on. Available at the fishhuntshoot.com website. Hey guys, Kellogg here. Lucy and I are out for our daily walk and we're at the halfway point, so I thought I'd take a couple minutes to talk to you guys. Got a question for you, and you can leave an answer down here in the comments below this video. Do the record books mean anything to you? And I'm talking about, big fish record books, the IGFA record book. I'm also talking about Pope and Young and the Boone and Crockett Club for the big game hunters out there. And I'll go on record as saying, you know what, they don't mean much to me, and let me kind of show you why. I got a piece of paper here. I was on Facebook the other day, and I saw a headline there, new record striped bass. So of course I clicked through it, and this is what I found. I found that it's not a world record striped bass. It was a striper caught by a fella named Alex Foster, and he got it back in Virginia. Yeah, Virginia. And turns out the striper is a length record. They're now keeping length records, and here's kind of the kicker. For the records to count, you have to go to the IGFA website and get one of their official IGFA measuring tapes, which are only $49. So this kind of sounds like a records category designed by the record keeping committee to sell rulers. And that obviously doesn't mean much. And do a lot of the other rules mean much? Let's just say you and I are out fishing and we're in the Delta and we hook a fish. I hook a fish, and man, I'm fighting it and it's big and I got a cramp in my neck, and I hand you the rod, and good Lord, we get the fish up and it's 100-pound striped bass. Now that fish doesn't exist in the Delta, but let's pretend it does. And we rope this fish, we get it, we weigh it on a certified scale and all that stuff. We got a new world record, right? No, we don't have a new world record because I passed the rod off to you. The fish doesn't count. Does that make the fish smaller? Does that make the fish not the most massive striper ever caught in the California Delta? No. But it's against these very defined rules that the IGFA has set up. On the big game side, I've killed 2 massive blacktail bucks that if I had them measured, they would certainly place in the Boone and Crockett record book. I shot them with a rifle. But they were shot on the wrong side of Highway 5, so they're ineligible for the book anyway. But what makes those bucks special for me is the fact that I shot them with my dad. He started taking me deer hunting when I was about 2.5 years old, and I've become a pretty fair hunter in the years since then. And it was really cool to take both of those bucks with my dad at my side, which was totally awesome and means more to me than any certificate from any record-keeping agency out there. And when I saw that article on Facebook, I just started thinking about the record books. And I think they're a real big platform for ego, and I think they're not the best thing for the sport. I'll refer back. I'm going to refer back to a couple things here. I'll refer back to the old movie, Robert Mitchum movie, Home from the Hill. If you've never seen it, you probably haven't. It's definitely a good movie to rent. It's a classic. But Robert Mitchum, he's a hunter, and he kind of turns his son into a hunter. And he tells his son, you know what hunters really hunt? His son's like, no. He goes, what hunters really hunt is themselves. That's how it should be. You're out there, you're pitting yourself against the woods, the environment, the game, that kind of stuff. It's all about personal satisfaction. And I think record books and, seeking, record book recognition, I think it puts a lot of ego into our sports that you don't need. I mean, look at what's happened to whitetail deer hunting. You can go to any outdoor show and you could see ranches where they guarantee you bucks that'll measure a certain, number of inches if you're willing to pay the price. And I'll kind of harken back to one of my heroes, the late, great Jack O'Connor, a longtime gun editor at Outdoor Life. And he was the guy that really popularized the idea of a North American sheep Grand Slam. That's taken 4 different species of bighorn ram that all measure over 40 inches. And when Jack O'Connor did it, and he did it several times, but when he did it, he was doing it the old school way. He was doing it with pack trains and 20-day hunts and a lot of personal sacrifice, financial investment, and pain, suffering, the whole thing. But after he popularized it, he actually wrote about this in his last book. He felt that he'd really done sheep hunting a disservice because all of a sudden you had these mega rich guys that would retain guides, and the guides would locate a sheep. Bottom line is they'd leave their office, they'd fly to the location, they'd shoot the sheep the next day. 72 hours later, they were back in their office, and pretty soon these guys were bragging about, well, I did a Grand Slam in 1 season. Well, yeah, because you had a fat wallet and you were lazy and, you know, you were semi-unethical, but you got it done and you stroked your ego and now you're back at your desk, and it's just not the same thing. And I see a lot of that. I used to get pictures and stories from a fellow, I won't name names, all the time at the Fish Sniffer magazine, who would take his little son to like any kind of tournament he could take him to get a trophy and a certificate. And I thought that he was really doing his son a disservice. He was teaching him the wrong message. He wasn't teaching him about love of the outdoors, love of fishing. He was teaching him at a very early age how to go out in the field and use fishing as a platform to feel superior to others, to get a trophy, to get a certificate, and to move on. And that's really not in my book. That's not what fishing's all about, and that's not what hunting's all about. It's about being out in the natural world. It's about fun, relaxation, and just love of the sport. And I think it comes down, just heard a noise, maybe there's a bear out here. It all comes down to, you know, I think it's how much you value a big fish or a big deer or a big whatever it is in your own opinion. You know, a lot of guys catch a 3-pound trout and they are absolutely stoked, and good for them. I don't feel that way about a 3-pound trout. I have a different criteria of success for me. I went to Alaska specifically to catch a lingcod over 30 pounds because I never thought I'd attain that in California, which I have now. But I ended up with a 61-pound ling, and it's not a record. It's not even close to a record. But guess what? It's a record for me, and it holds a special place in my heart, and it always will. And it's awesome because lingcod mean a lot to me, and Alaska means a lot to me. And I was fishing with one of my best friends, Captain Steve Smith, and that relationship means a lot to me. So as a result, you know, and I was surrounded by Fish Sniffer readers. That whole experience, that's an apex experience for me. So I think we need to really think about the sports, and we need to celebrate the sports that we engage in. Hunting, fishing, and the investment in time and effort and, you know, mental acuity that goes into those sports. It shouldn't have anything to do with getting a certificate or getting your name in a record book. To me, fishing's about fun. It's about personal bests. A trophy to you is not a trophy to another guy, and that's a difference of opinions, and it's a personal preference. Some people like peanut butter sandwiches, some people like cheese sandwiches, and that's just the way it is. But you know, and that's just the way it is for me. The record books don't mean much to me. I see them as a negative overall. I just see them as a springboard for ego and kind of put downs and stuff like that. I might be wrong, but that's just kind of my view of it. I'm anxious to see what you guys think. And I celebrate. I give the guy a big thumbs up that caught that striper in Virginia. That is a huge fish. I've never caught a 30-pound striper. I've caught some high 20s. I got a 26 and a 28 one day in the Delta, but I've never got a 30. But good for him. That's a big fish, but I'm kind of down on it because, you know, he's chasing this record and the IGFA saying, well, maybe it isn't a record, maybe it is, and maybe you didn't pay enough for your official IGFA tape. I don't know, but that's kind of my view on records. Your mileage may vary. Remember, if you're looking for trout gear, fishing gear, rods, reels, whatever. You know where to go. Check out my store at fishhuntshoot.com. Lucy and I are going to get on the move here. We're heading back to the truck, and I will catch you next time right here on YouTube. Thanks a lot, guys.